I recently decided to rewatch a couple of old Top Gear episodes, so might as well talk about the cars featured in them. The episode starts off with a BMW M135i, Volkswagen Golf GTI, and a Mercedes A45. And in the background, you can see the iconic GF electromobile that the trio made a couple of seasons ago. Here we can see the Mercedes Benz A45 AMG, which Jeremy drives at first, but then quickly concludes that while it may be a beautiful and a very quick car indeed, 46,000 pounds is just way too much for a hot hatchback. And then, if you have any sense, you shall pick one of these basically. So yeah, if you have any sense, according to Jeremy, you shall pick one of these, which is basically a M135i BMW and a Golf GTI, the sensible option with the 2.0 liter engine instead of BMW's rear-wheel drive and 3.0 liter engine. But yeah, then he tries to make a point that because the BMW has 90 horsepower more, he can easily overtake the Golf at any minute, basically, which he easily does while sliding around. But then, after putting both of the cars for a drag race in extremely wet conditions. Obviously, the BMW takes the lead, but then at like 120 miles an hour or something like that, it just randomly spins out. Aquaplaning, but yeah, that quickly causes Jeremy to be like, "Oh shit," and quickly quickly to switch to the Golf basically, which did the same race but didn't spun out. But yeah. Then Jeremy, being Jeremy, comes up with reasonable practicality tests like what if you want to carry a warhead nuclear? And obviously it fits in the Golf GTI, but it doesn't really in the BMW. And after that, Jeremy tests the rear passenger space basically, and obviously fits easily in Golf GTI, but doesn't really in the BMW. So he saws off the passengers' legs off with a, as he would call it, a hammer. Then I cut back to the studio with the blue and the white Golf GTI for a head-to-head match around the iconic track. And here we can see just how fast the BMW M135i is and how slow relatively the Golf GTI is. But still, actually, it's pretty fast, I would say. On the news segment, they talked about how Richard drove on the previous week the Mercedes 6x6, and then they laughed about, Mercedes is very proud of showcasing their heritage and all of that. And they're wondering why they didn't mention this one. And yeah, then James joked, no, that's not Hitler. It's basically a time before how do I say indicators weren't in, invented, so that man is just pointing where he's going, and he said basically the Third Reich. Then they talked about what would the UK lose if Scotland would detach from them or whatever, forget. And they joked about that they would lose such iconic cars like this, which cost like around the same price as a Ferrari back in the day, so wild. And their electric car that was so poor it just fell apart when the chief tester to make it qualify for a road legal car basically fell apart for him. And then they joked about Richard Hammond's GT3 being recalled, and Jeremy gifted him a little Porsche GT2 RS, which he set on fire promptly. And they were like, Richard was like, yeah, yeah, yeah. The last news segment was them making a commercial about cycling, how to make it safer. And first they showcased this with the Golf GTI. Oh, on the left that's like a Volvo XC60, and on the right there that's actually a Land Rover Freelander, like the facelift one, and on the left I assume Opel or something like that. But yeah, they first made how to make cycling more safer. Um, Basically, get a car is the summary. After showing their videos to the panel of experts and getting scolded, and after being told that they need to get out and experience what cycling is all about, they go ahead and do it actually. Oh, that's a Vauxhall Vivaro, I think. But yeah, they basically go right around London to figure out what are the root causes of cycling accidents and all that. Ooh, that's a Volkswagen Caddy in the background, and on the left, I'm not sure what that one is. Looks like a Mercedes Viano, maybe. Ooh, on the right, that's a London taxi. I always forget the names. Another Vauxhall Vivaro. Oh, on the right, you can see actually the camera crew on the scooter. But yeah, this was a pretty interesting episode where they quickly realized that the main fault for cycling aren't the cars. Ooh, damn, that's a beautiful Fiat 500 and a BMW X1 before it started to look weird. And yeah, then they had a theory about only turning left because they couldn't turn really right. So yeah. Oh, wow, Mercedes ML from 2000 mid 2000s. I forgot which generation it was, but beautiful car. After that, some kind of a Lexus maybe. Ooh, a Bentley on a Rolls Royce behind that. The white car, probably like a Ford something. Ooh, the OG Cayenne. Nice, love it. On the right, Ford Transit, the British cab, and probably like a Volkswagen Chiron or something. And after that, Octavia. Here you can see a couple more London cabs. Ooh, the new at the time Range Rover, the big one. Mercedes Viano and Ford Transit. I always love to see what kind of cars were around at the time of making the episodes. Ooh, the previous generation at the time, Mercedes S-Class. But yeah, my point is, I love seeing what was driving around at the time of filming episodes. Like, okay, another Ford Transit. That's yeah. But yeah, to see how like when the P1 came out, what was the average car looked like? Ooh, VW R32, Toyota Hilux and Transporter and something like that. Ford Galaxy or something. Uh, Volkswagen, that Transporter, the big one, forget name. Viano, Transit van. Ooh, the big boy Range Rover. Not sure about the gray car. Here you can see a Saab 9.5 or Aero, forgot the name of that. Mercedes Viano, Toyota Prius. Prius. Yeah, another old cab. The London cab. Why does it even look like that? Haven't yet. Ooh, Mercedes Sprinter. But yeah, I haven't really researched the history why that looks. Ooh, Golf 4 TDI. Iconic Balkan car. The old, at the time, no, the previous generation, Range Rover, Big Boy. Another probably Vauxhall Vivaro, Vauxhall Astra, and then they decide that the problem are the buses. Oh, Audi A1. That It's a thing not seen in quite some time. After concluding everything, they go back, and James is in his Fiat Panda, Jeremy in his Mercedes CLK Black Series. God damn, it's a beautiful car. Behind that, that's probably like a Ford 150, and that's a Bentley. I'm not sure about the other car. That's that Alfa Romeo Brera. That's probably that I saw in a couple of episodes ago. That's probably one of the producer's cars. Great choice. If I remember correctly, James takes control of directing the commercial, and his plan is like cyclists must be seen, so they need to be dressed like something like this, pretty much. And yeah, Christ on a bike. They were both experimenting with a lot of different things, and Jeremy came up with a jet powered bicycle basically, which went very quick indeed. Oh, interesting cars behind. Not sure about the Boss, Volkswagen Transporter, Toyota Corolla, Renault Ambulance Master probably. But yeah, then he ran out of fuel and he was like, oh well. I think this was the Jeremy's commercial, which basically included a McLaren MC12 and a bicycle that give them an inch and they will give you a mile or something like that. That for so there's more room for normal people. Oh, this is a shot from the Need for Speed movie, which was new at the time in 2014. On the Star on Tonight Show, where was our Aaron Paul, and they talked about the great Pontiac Aztek, and basically the great choices of cars for the characters in Breaking Bad. Toyota Tercel or something like that. Just interesting car. Yeah, but our Aaron Paul talked about his Shelby Cobra. Damn, that's one beautiful car. To be fair, it's really iconic. And yeah, then he took a ride in the iconic Vauxhall Astra and basically beat everyone. He had the top time, top his top one, the fastest. Then Richard introduced the 650,000 pound Porsche 918, which seems like a bargain, honestly, at that price. Obviously, inflation and all that, but yeah. And the more I honestly look at these cars, that the more I realize they were so ahead of the time. Like 12 years have passed since the iconic Holy Trinity launched, and first of all, they still look. They could have. Ooh, that's a big boy Land Cruiser. But yeah, they still look like. Ooh, that's a Mercedes S-Class. They still look like they could have come out. Ooh, that's a Volkswagen Tiguan. They still look like they could have come out basically in 2026. They would fit right in. And yeah, the more I looked at it, the more I'm like, God damn. I remember how they made me feel when I saw them as a child, and it still gives me the fuzzy feeling of like, damn, they're so gorgeous, so fast, so ahead of the time. True icons, I would say. This was a pretty solid episode. Not my favorite, but I would say I would give it like 8.5 out of 10. Key highlight, yeah, probably the 918, and obviously like the drag race. That's a couple of iconic moments there. So yeah, I mean the 918. It's probably definitely the highlight. Just remember looking at it as a kid and being like, wow, lost in it. And like I mentioned previously, I still have this feeling. Overall, a very solid episode, but yeah, not bad, not good, solid.